Hello, hello. What is up? Happy Friday, family. Happy Friday, friends. I thought, oh my gosh, we have to touch base. We have to connect. We have to tap into the wonderful energy. I know you can't go far, especially if you're into astrology. Let me turn that down just a little bit. If you're into astrology, even in the slightest, you've had to be hearing about all the things that are going on with Saturn and Neptune. I know you've been hearing about all of these timelines and seeds planting and quantum leaps. Let's light some Palo Santo. Happy Saturn and Neptune conjunction. You're like, what the heck is really going on? Well, Saturn and Neptune, when planets come into a conjunction, let me pause and just say, first of all, okay, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hitting like. Thank you for hitting subscribe. I always reiterate that I don't set an intention to hold this to be a monetized space or an affiliated space. We just hang out here. I have a tarot school child. I'm sorry, the chart just loaded. Woo! Oh my gosh, y'all. I'm sorry. I just did. Okay. It's mainly because the moon has now shifted into Aries. I was just like, whoa, that's a lot of Saturn. I'm sorry, that's a lot of Pisces and Aries. Dissolve, dissolve, dissolve. Okay. I'm hearing the seeds will definitely be watered. Okay, get into it. Get some Palo Santo smudge. I appreciate you being in this space. If you're ever curious about what other work I do, I have a tarot school platform on School, Skool. I offer lots of plethora of different things over there and teaching modules. And I do have a website if you want to work with me personally. I do one-on-one natal chart, astrology work, teaching intuitive messages. I do tarot. I make candles and ritual tools. So thank you so much for being here. In the age of Aquarius, as we birth all these new timelines, as we see the rollout of this, Saturn has started a brand new cycle. Saturn spent 29 and a half years traversing the wheel of the zodiac, and we've been talking about how it's brought you to this place where you have a lot of closure. Well, child, I hope you do. You know, any of your wise friend will hold your hand and say, if you don't have closure, you don't have to have it and move forward. But what's a better way to say, I hope that you've been able to glean wisdom from your experiences. Whether you call that moving through karma, whether you're walking into your dharma, whatever the case may be, wherever you're seeking to, we could say, plant new seeds. That's very appropriate. We consider that we're going to work our way to close out February. We are going to move towards, we're in Pisces season now. Shout out to all my Pisces sun sign babies, Pisces family. I hope you all are doing well and taking good care of yourselves out there. It's really important to stay rooted and grounded because we understand when we look at this chart, yes, we're definitely excited that Saturn and Neptune are having this great conjunction. I'm hearing conjunction, junction. Okay. Ooh, that makes me think of y'all, what is that song? Well, I was only a build. Something about sitting up on Capitol Hill. Okay. Ancestors got jokes though. Nah. But honestly, it's huge, it's big. And I thought that we would tap in. I've really been enjoying just shuffling, sharing decks with you, seeing what I do this every time, y'all. I'm like, I think I'm going to pull a bunch of cards today. And then I'm like, where is the space? What is it? Today is Friday. And I feel like we end up kind of sharing and checking in. Amongst the other beautiful birthday goodies, I have burning my well, this is one of my gifts. It's one of my favorite candles. And you'd be like, girl, you make candles. Yeah. And so do my friends. And there's room for all of us. There's pie slices for all of us to share. So we often joke and chuckle at each other because we'll end up buying each other's candles and be like, why don't we just trade, girl? It's funny, but she is awesome. Magic and Stardust, you can find her on Instagram, and I think she's way more active on her Facebook business page, but she's great. And this is very Palo Santo sage lavender. It's like, I like to think of it as like if you smudge the room, but you couldn't smudge. You light this candle. What else do we have? Oh, this was treat yourself for my own birthday. Can we just get into this black moonstone tower? Please appreciate her. Ooh, let her just, yeah, you can get into it. Get into it with her. She can ground you. She can clear you. She can bring harmonic balance between duality, yin, yang. You know, maybe you're thinking dark and light, left brain, right brain. You know what? She is so pretty. And then I've got my palm stone here, but I'm getting so much off this black moonstone. Maybe she has a message for us. Child, we're not even getting into the planets. Let me at least pull a tab open and we'll see what black moonstone energy wants to share with us. So I don't forget. But listen, there's a plethora, an absolute plethora of resources. If you're like, wow, girl, everywhere I turn, friend, everywhere I turn, I don't hear nothing about all the Saturn and Neptune. Just as a quick buffer, maybe you want to put a pin note in it and come back to it, right? Neptune has completed a cycle that took 165 years to, I know, the beginning of a very long ending of the Pisces age. So maybe you want to read about the Pisces age. As we now transition into the age of Aquarius. And she just a wee baby. Just now getting our feet wet in this age of Aquarius. And look, we're getting a big, black moonstone. I'm thinking Pluto, lord of the underworld and death and rebirth and a lot of transformative energies. I'm seeing the death card in Scorpio. Yeah, it is giving that Pluto in Aquarius is really kind of preparing the stage for the age of Aquarius to truly be born. And you're like, child, this placement lasts 20 years. I know. But when you talk about like an age, we're talking about 2,000 plus years, friends, right? So imagine 20 years is a drop in the bucket, isn't it? Talk about laying foundational pillars. Not me saying pillars. And we've got our tower here. Yeah, so I mean, not only did Neptune complete a cycle of 165 years, this might be a review for you, but stay with me. So now we're in this beautiful dawning of this age of being with Neptune and Aries. You know, Neptune also recently completed that whole journey with Pisces, and we channeled a lot of different messages on that. So if you want to go back and have some journal fodder or like do some review, you know, those are great points to kind of touch up on to say, where do I feel in my energy, right? And then, of course, Saturn, Neptune is an outer lying planet. It's going to move a lot slower. Saturn, like we said, takes approximately 29 and a half-ish years to traverse that zodiac wheel. So now they've both completed really big cycles. It's giving, of all the times you want to be graduating, you want to be getting those diplomas of wisdom. Now, you know, you might feel almost as like a container of 2020 to 2025 felt like a lot of towers. You said, child, have you been watching? Yes, I see it. I know you see it. And I almost feel like, you know, 2025 was like, hear me out. We're going to go through this Pisces study together. We're going to hold hands and we're going to have a lot of things being triggered. A lot of things must be purged, and it's kind of like this cleanse. And I just kind of feel like, I don't want to say, honestly, I know a lot of people are kind of saying it was almost like we were tested in 2025 and now we're going to really roll it out in 26. And I could kind of see that, but I think we are still going to need a little more time for unfoldment. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if you felt that way. It's really kind of interesting to consider if we even back it up Of course, we know in 2020, everyone, it was a huge deal of the Saturn and Pluto conjunction. It's more rare because of the way that Pluto moves, very, very slow. The farther you get out, right, in those planets beyond the veil, kind of beyond the bounds of Saturn, right? It was a huge deal. A lot of people in astrology were talking about it as this big deal, right? So, 2020, we had this big Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which is interesting because we had this huge Capricorn stellium going on, which was preparing us for then Pluto to end and come to a finality of his own work in Capricorn. I think we channeled a lot about when that was happening. I want to say that was more... It was a lot last year. We channeled a lot last year where it was like Neptune was in Pisces. Pluto was doing this finality work in Capricorn. And a lot of these visuals were coming through from Spirit and my guides and ancestors, where it was like people sitting in spiritual court. Child, that was because we was going to be prepared for a lot of things to be held in court, so to speak. And I'm going to spray some frankincense on that note. Ooh, cleanse it. Spirit and the ancestors be with us to hold a space to channel messages that serve the highest and best good. That's always the energy and the frequency that I connect here with my team and guides. Okay. But it is interesting to just sit with the timelines a little bit and think about it and reflect on it. We're definitely still embracing these moments too, because remember, we're still working out the rest of Imbolc. Still very much the light returns, the belly warms, the seeds. We know the potentials for growth that have been planted. It's very much still, here we are in Pisces season. Mind you, as much as we think about this huge conjunction, which has been building for a few days, it'll ripple out through the weekend and we'll be feeling this energy for some time. We still have this backdrop of beautiful Pisces energy, Sun at the 2nd degree. We're still working strongly with our North Node in Pisces. We definitely have Venus and both Mercury in Pisces. So we yet again are at this point of let's let go. Let's release, let's heal, let's dissolve the illusions. But it's for the purpose to also dream new dreams, to also be in that exalted, higher tiered, higher frequency energy of Aries, where we think of like a spiritual warrior, the divine reclamation of I am and divine sovereignty, and then embodying that as we finish seeing Uranus walk out his journey with Taurus. So I was just thinking, we were channeling all these messages about Pluto was kind of this all-father, Odin father vibrational figure who kind of trumps the board, and it was this high spiritual court. Yeah, I think it was earlier last year we were channeling a lot of this. And it was like contracts, emotional bonds, karmic cycles, even things that connected to many past lives. A lot of things were being kind of, the gavel comes down. Neptune, being in Pisces at that time, was kind of sitting like a higher spiritual heart, a mother, almost like there was a crone vibration there because she had already been through so much in 165 years, and she was kind of sitting with this Pluto figure in Capricorn, and it was this scene of people would come up and present all these files and present all these contracts, if you will, and things were just being ended and tossed out and stamped complete, and that was the vibe, right? So in that same year, let me take it back. A lot of that was coming through last year, but remember, we're reflecting on 2020. In that same year that Saturn and Pluto had that big conjunction, we had another big Jupiter and Saturn conjunction, and we were having all these 0-degree meet points, and Aquarius was, if you remember 2020, Aquarius was triggering all these things because we were being prepared for Pluto to then go into Aquarius. And then soon after, of course, we see Saturn getting ready to come and complete all of these karmic cycles and timelines. But just interesting things to chew on for thought. I was looking at a list that someone had made, and it was like, I I think it was 1989, I want to say, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune came into an alignment in Capricorn, and somebody was writing about like Cold War endings and Berlin Wall and all these type of things going on. And then taking it back then at 1969, we had a Jupiter and Uranus conjunction in Libra. We had this big stellium and it kind of pulled in Pluto, and all these cultural and technological revolutions were going on. But even before 1969, I want to say it was like 1966-ish. I think, was like our last year of the fire horse. But it's kind of interesting to observe the pattern. And Spirit is showing me again, my guides are showing me that message, and we've channeled this before, of a timeline lifting up, but also folding back on itself. Because when we build new cornerstones for new foundations, foundations of humanity, foundations of how we exchange energetic currency, foundations of how we travel, foundations, I mean, a lot of things. I'm hearing that song, The Rest is Still Unwritten. What is that song? Dang, why am I blanking on the rest of the song? But it's almost giving like we're going to be in some times where we've never seen anything like this before. We've never heard anything. We've never worked like this before. These are the times that we're laying down cornerstone foundations for. And a lot of times we'll see similar experiences. But although, okay, I was having this experience yesterday, and I'm trying to think of how to articulate it. Spirit, my guys want me to share it. It's this energy of like you're in a moment in the current now time being space. I don't know, that's how Spirit says it. The being of nowness in this now time. Because really that's only a projection of what you're experiencing, but sometimes Spirit gets way out there and I have to kind of bring it back so we can understand each other. You'll find yourself kind of in a moment. And I want to call it deja vu, but Spirit is saying, no, it's so much bigger than that. What was I doing? I was walking somewhere, and I remembered a time like decades ago where I was walking in a very similar space and almost the exact same weather. The buildings in the backdrop look, it's that moment. And it's a fold in the timeline. And you kind of realize that in the past you were having a premonition of where you would be in the future. I don't know, it's something like this. But of course that leans into how we experience timelines and linear time and kind of warping moments. And we get these peaks beyond the veil when we have a whole lot of Piscean energy teetering on all of these Aries new beginnings. It's almost like I'm hearing, let's do the time warp again. Okay, it's time slipping, it's fluidity. Spirit is bringing me back to how we talked about this a lot while Saturn was traveling through Pisces, time slips. Some days go by in a flash, and some days stretch out forever, and a moment will be an hour, and then sometimes you'll be like, oh my gosh, how was it? What was Monday and Tuesday? You know what I'm talking about? Wonder if anyone else has felt that. I feel like for a moment here with all of these 0 degrees Aries points, we call those points of initiation, the beginnings of powerful new starts of timelines, I think I read that an astrologer somewhere was using this term, a Genesis moment, something like this. So it's huge. I wrote down something in my notes here in the background. It was saying like, in traditional astrology back in the day, people used to look at a 0 degrees ingress point as being like, kings, world leaders, the collective whole entire birth of like a new kingdom, or you were planning to go siege or travel overseas or whatever. The 0 degrees Aries point gives that big of a shift, and then mind you, some of the configurations that we have going on right now and in this year, I'm just saying, we haven't seen them, I've been saying this, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, I dare say thousands of years, the synchronicity and the alignment and the planets, and then even if you throw in, Atlas. Why am I blanking on the name of that? That body will again come through and cross a certain point in like March at some time. So it's a crazy magnitude of things. It is giving. We kept seeing, we kept channeling what? A whole new world. You know what I mean? But that's what it's giving though. So it's very powerful. It's a very powerful time. I think it is really important to be very mindful over these next few weeks right now. Goodness gracious, today, this weekend, over the next week. It's a great time to really be intention setting minded. You're thinking of long-term sustainability, the choices, who you spend your time with, the things that you're starting right now. They will have a huge ripple effect. And of course, I've got to throw a shout out to like my cardinal sign babies. Of course, I know we shouted out to Pisces. We definitely should. Cardinal signs, if you have significant natal chart placements or, houses that have a ton of cardinal energy in them, or big cardinal aspects, right? Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Shout out to you guys. Because you may be going through a very significant shift. If you're feeling something radical, if you're feeling something powerful, pay attention to that. Now of any time, if you never did intentional full-fledged rituals or big meditations for multiple days or writing mantras, all of this intentional work is so big right now. So I do want to kind of just drive that home. Just be mindful of being grounded, because when Saturn comes into a sign, Saturn really digs into that sign and says, hey, you and I, Aries, we're going to do work. We're going to be responsible. We're going to get you to the highest vibrational frequency that you're able to hold in a long-term sustainable way. I feel like impulsivity, losing your temper, being very impatient, because we're seed planting time is not harvesting time. Now, I mean, granted, to say that when you're in a year like the wheel, the year of 10, you have energy, you have movement, things can be fast moving and rapid manifestation. But for the most part, you're thinking about, you're starting the beginning. You're thinking of Saturn, but you're also in Aries, for example. Saturn's going to be like that disciplined life coach. It's like a father figure energy. You know what I'm saying? So, Saturn will be in Aries and be like, I love everything new that you want to birth. Okay, and I love your excitement. And you're absolutely right. We are going to have to run some things out like a wildfire. But we also have to remember that, Saturn's going to say, you got to be disciplined though. And are we really thinking this out in the long-term way? Okay, you got to be accountable. If we go into something with an Aries energy, it's beautiful. Yes, I'm sovereign in this place. Yes, I understand my divine I am. I am filled with, child, it slips out sometimes, I'm filled. I'm filled with divine inspiration. It's that masculine spark, divine masculine we love. I am divinely inspired, and so therefore I want to go and take action. We love that. That's great for embodiment of things. But Saturn will go into, of course, the beginning of a whole new 29 and a half, 30-year journey, right? Hello. But Saturn will also go into Pisces and kind of say, you got to do this while facing reality. You have to do this while understanding how to make a long-term commitment. You have to be disciplined. You have to be, and then of course you could really expand on that, say, well, Neptune in Aries, oh my goodness, that's very slow moving. You've got to make sure that this is aligned with your highest and best self, right? You know what I mean? Are you still playing a victim card? Are you still refusing to let some scales kind of be dragged off your eyes? That's not going to work out for you. And then when it doesn't, and we become very impatient, because Saturn will be dealing with Aries for a time. You know what I mean? And we're still completing wound healing of Chiron in Aries too. So it's like, you got to check that higher alignment. you have to make sure that it also honoring Aquarius energy. Is this authentic to me? I mean, am I really getting ready to start a journey based on something that makes me miserable? Am I really going into another 30-year cycle of karma based on believing I'm still a victim? Based on believing that my individual authenticity can't contribute to the community? There's certain things, you know what I mean? You have to sit with that and you have to say, the conjunction energy is opening up a pocket. Saturn and Neptune and Aries, that pocket's going to go over 30 years, okay? I don't know why, but I'm hearing this reel, y'all. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a video clip, and everybody keeps reusing it. It says something about 30 minutes. What do you mean? It's only 30 minutes? You know what I'm talking about? But that's the opposite of the energy, but it will feel like that. I think what's going to happen is we'll have these epiphany moments. We'll have these divine inspirations, creative muse. Aries energy, very heightened, tends to get us up in the place of the upper crown, of the upper higher stellar gateways. And it's beautiful. Plus, we're coupling it with a year that's about to amp up in Aquarius frequency. So we understand that while we will have those big, oh my gosh, like, bum, 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 you know, like, what am I seeing? I'm seeing like the Judgment card. Yeah, the trumpets. But then we have to bring that back down to that sacred embodiment. So we really probably want to be partnering and tapping into that Taurus frequency too that Uranus is bringing in. Am I feeling this in my bones? Am I kind of getting whipped off? You know, like high-tiered, really amped up Aries energy, especially in a year like the Fire Horse, can kind of give into almost like people getting very fanatical about stuff. But then you ask yourself, like, where is this coming down into the real timelines? You know what I'm saying? And also, I think after we have these moments, or after we, let's say, launch the thing or take the big, you know, in the 10-year, we've been talking about the Magician #1 plus the Fool #0. So you take the leap, right? You channel the magic. You felt the spark. You connected to the bridge. Boom, the seed is planted. Okay, but then after that, we do a lot of Pentacles type work. Long-term sustainability. There will be a time where we'll kind of come back down. As a matter of fact, we'll be preparing for Mercury retrograde, which is going to pull us back into that Pisces frequency and say, let's just make sure one more time. We don't need to dunk our head in under one more time in that water. Let's make sure we're not spiritually bypassing and living in a fantasy world. But at the same time, you kind of have to taper. You kind of have to walk the line. Okay, now I'm thinking of that. I fell into a burning ring of fire when I say walk the line, but you do, because you still are dreaming. You're wishing and hoping. What's that song? And dunna, and praying, and dunna, dun dunna. But you have to make sure that you're gut checking yourself in reality, right? In long-term sustainability, in emotional maturity. Okay, so I really encourage you to dig in. There's so many resources to write and read and self-study about Saturn and Neptune conjunction. And we're definitely going to see, you bet on it, lots of change. We already see old systems crashing down. That's just the nature of how it's going to go. I really still encourage you. I'm seeing 1989 again. That's crazy. I encourage you. Maybe there's a message for you there if you go back to some of the things that were kind of coming down, that were shifting in history and lots of different things in that 1989 time frame. It's a great one to read about. I know a lot of other astrologers have written. Well, you can't not write about it because if you don't understand history, sometimes you doom yourself to repeat it. But there's so much power in this birthing of a new cycle. So with that being said, this new beginning can mean so much to us in different ways, but I do want to dig into the cards and share some cards with you. I've really been enjoying how that frequency has been going with us. I love to shuffle and show you all the different decks. But listen, seriously, if you have big Aries placements, Mars, your top 3, your Jupiter, Saturn placements, pay attention to those, okay? Pay attention. Learn about your Chiron placement. That's your wound that you chose to incarnate with, to learn lessons of wisdom with, Okay, because we're still walking out this journey of Chiron completing Aries. I would definitely say, obviously, if you have big Aquarius or Leo placements, goodness gracious, be mindful this year. Be very, very intentional. And then again, obviously, shout out to big Piscean placements and really the mutable signs, especially this weekend and then the next coming weeks. And again, those mutable signs would be, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So I'll give a special shout out to my Virgos too, though, because we're still wrapping up that South Node. Please still be mindful of your health. This opening of this eclipse portal, it is very Uranian, very Aquarius. We're still in the bookends with eclipse portals. We have an opener, which is our solar ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. Okay, none of us are missing that ring of fire. But we're going to close it with a full moon in Virgo. So issues of health. We're going to come back and think about how the number 9 year, we talked a lot about Virgo. We talked a lot about the Hermit. We talked a lot about your 6th house, your daily routines. How is your health? What are things that you're dog-headedly, very stubbornly holding on to? They're not going to work for you moving forward, okay? Because especially when we see a lot of this air meets fire energy popping off in the collective too, man, oh man, then we're really going to be moving and shaking, okay? So I think whenever we're in a time that really propels us forward, and there's so much dissolution. Remember we kept talking about we were going to pull the plug out of the bath and it was just going to be, that's what's happening. Sometimes the disillusionment and the grief can kind of pull us down. So I hope you are having and being well rooted in those good spiritual hygiene practices, energetic hygiene. We absolutely, in your health routine and your mental, emotional, and spiritual, you've got to get them all together and understand they're all connected. We've got to have good meditation routines, good spiritual bathing, good cleansing routines. We've got to be finding reset points in the day where we do our deep belly breath work. Any spiritual tools when it comes to studying, know thyself, pattern recognition, great shamanic work on dancing, being grounded, giving yourself outlets and channels. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of projection in the collective fields, okay? You feel me? Like, we've got to be able to have outlets. Do you have a means of creating? And I'm not saying you got to go make a bit. I mean, do you, right? I want everybody to be happy and succeed and have health, wealth, and abundance and prosperity. But I'm saying just have something you can do to do it too, Maybe it's cooking. Maybe it's going hiking more. Well, I mean, I want to say being out in nature, the energetic grid that's 5D and ascending, but it's organic and it can never be hijacked. You can always return there. Okay. But creative outlets for sure. Definitely. And you know what? Maybe this is a year you're like, bro, I think I need to check back in with my therapist. Please. And we love to say over here is a good salad bowl. You can check in with your therapist while making sure you know how to move your body. You can detox and take a look at your diet and think about the things that are influencing your brain. Taking walks and putting your phone down, checking out of social media. We have to have good, healthy habits because this year is going to be something else, I'm telling you. But with all that being said, listen, we're going to embrace completion. You know how I keep saying a 10-year, a year of the wheel? It's just as much about things coming to closure, exposure, disclosure. It has to be complete. It's got to come up. You got to pick what is Spirit showing me? You got to pick a thorn out of a wound or you can't heal it. You can't just keep slapping a Band-Aid on that's going to fester. That's not what we're doing anymore. The universe and your spirit team and ancestors want so much better for you, so they're not going to let you do that. So let that happen, but know that in the healing, that's where you get the new beginnings. Okay? Because when Uranus hits go time in Gemini, I'm telling you, when the North Node hits Aquarius, there are going to be certain placements that will continue to stack up. And structures, the way I used to do work, whole jobs, whole systems of currency, systems, lots of things. Unfortunately, in a very disillusioned and frequency trapped, fenced, slave-like mentality, they're going to be gone. A lot of authority, we already see authorities and institutions and government, a lot of things are going to dissolve, and we're just beginning. That's why I'm saying we want to have good spiritual soul communities, good communities, be it a sisterhood or a study group, or you read books or journal together. You learn about astrology together. You can tap in with each other. You need like-minded people on your frequency because things are going to change very rapidly. Spirit is reminding me of that Hopi Elder Prophecy song where it's talking about who's in your boat. This could be a good time. Maybe we'll reshare that. Okay, but let's get into the cards we want to share today. I'm going to start us off with Dirt Gems Plant Oracle deck. You know, we love this one. If you haven't seen it, just get into how beautiful the box. We love a good box set. Okay, look at it. The book is great. Love the book. Very beautiful, very well written. And then, not them spoiling us. Look, you get a box set, but then you get your cards in a separate box. Ooh. I'm a sucker for the pretty details, okay? Okay, Spirit is reminding me about Black Moonstone. Okay. I got you. Oh, shoot. Okay. It's so perfect. I already see it. But look, they're so pretty, right? Look at the beautiful box. Love it. Maybe shuffling cards, getting some oracle decks and journaling more is a good touch point, a reset point. There's going to be so much projection with all of these endings, emotional grief, lots of things being exposed. We have to have times where we can step away and kind of, okay, let me return to self. You know what I mean? Tangible things are very good touch points. You learn that a lot in therapy. What's a tangible way you can program yourself? Remember in one reading we were channeling, you want to have good cleansing techniques that you can reach quickly? I want you to have a good spiritual hygiene program and everything, and get it, lock in on your meditation and your sound bathing. But just knowing, like, I love my frankincense hydrosol, and I know, boom, I'm kind of programmed with this stuff, and that I know when I spray it, it kind of, okay, let's come back to the present moment. We're cleansing and releasing any energy that's not serving us. Okay, where was I? Let's refocus. You see what I'm saying? Maybe you take a break and step outside. You work from home or you're in an office. Remember when we talked about that? You have some sort of program in place. You touch your bracelet, whatever that may be. Work on those. Okay, we're going to need them. But, you know, maybe shuffling cards has been a reset point for me for a long time. And hey, look, here we are. So I'm going to shuffle the beautiful dirt gems. Hold on, y'all know I got to get my piles or else we'll have a mess. We will have a mess. Okay. All right, Spirit is saying, before we do that, let's read about Black Moonstone. This is really great. This is actually so in alignment with the cycle that we're entering, that it's beginning. Maybe you feel called to get a Black Moonstone. That's a great one to work with. Maybe you get a bracelet and you wear it. Black Moonstone is a protective and grounding crystal that is deeply connected to the energy of the new moon. Hey, maybe that's a throwback or like a synchronicity message that the new moon in Aquarius was really big for you. Maybe there's a new moon energetic connection there. Maybe you had a ritual or an intention or something. Spirit is bringing that to my mind. Unlike lighter moonstones that focus on elevated consciousness, and I've got a few different ones. You know, you've got peach. You've got, okay, we could make a list, right? The Black Moonstone pulls energy down into the earth to establish a solid foundation for growth. How perfect is that? Okay. New beginnings, often called the new moonstone. It symbolizes the start of new projects, relationships, or entire life chapters. Hello. Spirit said, go back to that. Go back to that. You're right. Protection. Acts as a psychic shield to deflect negative energies and prevent emotional vampires from draining your vitality. Go ahead and get you. Yeah, let's just clear it down the back, Spirit. Yep. We rebuke any draining of vitality. We return to the I am consciousness and take a solid claim of our divine sovereignty. Thank you, Black Moonstone, for partnering with us today. It says grounding. Black Moonstone resonates with the root chakra, helping to stabilize scattered energy and provides a sense of security during chaotic times. Child, you can't make it up. I mean, I've worked with it years before. I just, it's been some time since I really sat down and read through the energy out loud. Shadow work, a powerful tool for inner exploration, allowing you to confront and integrate darker or repressed aspects of your psyche. Divine feminine, associated with the crone aspect of goddess archetypes, it represents wisdom, maturity, and deep intuition. Chakras, primarily a root and grounding association, but also crown with spiritual connection. Resonates with zodiac energy of Cancer, Scorpio, Libra, and Capricorn. Often linked to elements of water with intuition and flow, and earth with stability, and obviously the lunar phase of the new moon. Absolutely perfect. It's so great. You can use it in dream work. You can use it in home protection. You can use it when you manifest those new moon seed planting intentions. And then obviously you can meditate with it, okay? So I love that. If you want to read more about Black Moonstone, I'm trying to think, I think I like, what do I like? What is it called, y'all? Hold on. Is it Energy Muse? Let me go to their website. Yes, Energy Muse is a great resource. I love to read about souls at their website. Where else do I like to read? I mean, I will say this. I don't necessarily get too heavily into the Sage Goddess community as I did in the beginning of my journey a long time ago. But when it comes to knowing the explanations of gemstones, it's a great resource really to read about. I bet you if you Google the meaning of a stone, it's going to take you there in anyway. But I like the way that Sage Goddess will give you a whole all-inclusive article explaining the energy, the history. Is a great resource for gemstones. So if you want to tap into Black Moonstone energy, I think it would be a really great support right now with this Saturn and Neptune conjunction, because it really embodies like a whole new moon phase between these two planets. All right, so thank you, Spirit, for the messages from the Black Moonstone. Let's get into dirt gems and see. Let's see what we have here. This one's kind of poking out and speaking to me. Oh, okay. Well, they're refusing to separate. So we're going to take both of them, okay? Whoop, see, there I go. Let me get a sip. Okay, let's see what we have. Oh, Clary, wow, look at that. Poison ivy and poison oak and clary sage. Look, get into the imagery. I know you see that. I'm hearing blackbirds singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. It's the boat. The Hopi elder prophecy. You see them in the boat. Get out. Thank you, Spirit. Spirit always showing out. I love it. My ancestors always coming through. Look at the beautiful people, the eyes, the rainbow, the prismatic light of Aquarius is what it's giving. It's giving people saying mantras, people setting intentions, not only for themselves, the new timelines of the entire earth, it feels. Of course, that's giving me a lot of like the Jupiter finger, because one hand is up and one is down. See the hands? The bridge, the gateway, that's giving Chiron to me as well. This is giving third eye. What were we talking about in one reading? Decalcifying, which makes me immediately think of the pineal gland. Look at that. Ooh, okay. Spirit said we're going to start. We're going to start with Clary Sage, okay? And the stars are there too. Look, it's giving Aquarius vibes. Hey, there's one here. You could almost imagine that could be water, but it reminds me, look, they're very similar. You see that? Okay, 35 is where we're going to. Dun, 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 dun. The green-eyed wanderer. Shut up. You guys, you know what this makes me think of? You know how you had it? Shout out to my either elder or whatever millennial you are. And you know, you had the conundrum of the email. And you had like your younger email and you were like, oh my gosh, I need my professional, I've graduated, call it or whatever. And then you officially had like your grown-up email. This reminds me of the first email that I ever had. What was it? Green-eyed songbird or something? Child, it was so long ago. Okay. I'll have to write that down in my journal. Noted. All right, let's read together. Clary Sage is an open window on a clear, bright day. That makes me think of Oriel and the Hebrew letter for the star card, which is about letting the light come in through the window. I'm seeing the rune Tiwaz again. Okay. Hold on, guys. Let me type a note for myself so we can read about Tiwaz in a second. Okay. Clary Sage is an open window on a clear, bright day. The feeling of newness when you step out of water with droplets on your eyelashes. I love that. Clary Sage is a naked tumble in the fresh snow after a sauna. Clary Sage, oh, it's like the transition from the snow to the spring. Yes. Clary Sage allows us to feel awake and alive and ready for what is to come. This bright ally helps remove the obstacles and thickness from decisions, from making change, from becoming new. If you have trouble letting go, shout out to my Overthinkers Anonymous group, to my ruminators, to my people who struggle with their attachment styles. Spirit is saying, all of us, okay, we're together here. I'm holding your hand. I'm with you, okay? If you have trouble letting go, completely surrendering to a new experience and intimate encounters, or simply easing out of a busy day, call on Clary Sage. Nothing is ever static. Unable to be shifted or perceived anew, with this ally by your side, they will come into your life and wash away the dust, cut through the fog, and say, what's next? That gives Fool energy, doesn't it? As their name indicates, Clary Sage is clarifying and cleansing for both physical and emotional states. As an ally in pleasure, both seeking it and experiencing it, they create room for play and experimentation. Breathe Clary Sage in. Okay, it kind of gets into this space, but I'm just going to say use it on sensitive spaces and areas, okay? Anyway, they will bring a calming sensation and clear out like a dip in a cold pond. Nervous tension, this is giving like, what do they call the cognitive therapy? When you're reprogramming your reactions into responses, Spirit says. This is giving neuro reprogramming, mental repatterning, yeah. Your nervous system. Nervous tension can be released. The body can relax. The mind can feel clear and open. And pleasure can rush in and build slowly or explode. Clary Sage shakes our stagnation, our cycles, and our wallowing. Oh, yes, dead on point. Let them clear your eyes and your mind as you look freshly at where you are headed and why. I love that. Okay, let's go to 64, which is 6 plus 4. That's a 10. Interesting. Child, let this be the last card in the book. Is it about to be? No. It's like one from the last card. It's giving cycle completion. This gives me big world card energy. And it's called the Gatekeepers, which makes me think of how we talked about Saturn. He is the gatekeeper of he holds the keys to the new gates, Spirit is saying. Because he holds that bound between the personal and the outer lying planets. All right. The Gatekeepers. Poison ivy and poison oak are plants that are often demonized by humans because they cause a striking, uncomfortable, and sometimes painful reaction in our bodies. But these messages from the plant world are meaningful and important. even if we do not like the message to which we must pay attention. I know collectively we are processing this, but you'll see this in your micro, in your daily as well. This is also giving something like how, sacred rage is repressed, and it's giving me like, repressed emotions and feelings and things that you were told, we don't talk about, and all of these things, right? But these messages from the plant world are meaningful and important, even if we do not like the message to which we must pay attention. These plants contain a chemical called, is it urushiol? Which for many people causes a painful and itchy rash. This is the plant's defense system, but it's also a part of the plant's overall communication system. Poison ivy and poison oak are guardian plants. They are rehabilitators, gatekeepers, and renewers. You will find poison ivy or poison oak in a great quantity in places in need of protection. Ooh, this makes me think of an article I read one time, and it was written by like a witch or shamanic person who was asking you to pay attention where you saw poison ivy, because I used to live in a much bigger house and it had a ton of poison ivy, and that you just never wanted to leave the beds. I'm talking about burning it, weeding the garden. Maybe this is giving something you keep trying to dig up, but you can't seem to get it out. That could be like root or shadow work. Wow, it makes me think about that place. And it makes so much sense on an energetic level why that poison ivy didn't want to leave. Okay. These areas have, for one reason or another, been too exposed, too damaged, impacted, or overrun. Poison oak and poison ivy step in to say enough. They require that you pause, look more closely, consider your surroundings, and move with care and caution. If you find yourself face to face with the message from one of these plants, listen more deeply to what you are resistant to hear and find your work there. That's hard. That's the hardest work there is. That's the shadow. That's the root. You know what I'm saying? The medicine of poison oak and poison ivy is a loving one, even if you end up with an uncomfortable and temporary rash. This is an ally that takes the act of care and protection very seriously. Perhaps someone is doing protection work, as we all should be with our homes. We talked about that the other day. Often for their fellow plants and ecosystems that need to take a breath and have more space. You too can provide this type of fierce love and care for your surroundings. You too can wear the cloak of boundaries, creating space for what needs to grow, to breathe, and recover within you. Learning to make this space from your poison guardians. Ooh. Okay, I was seeing T-Waz. T-Waz says, where's that website that I really like? I can't remember her name. Historically, warriors were said to carve this rune into their weapons into their weapons to invoke Tears, the god Tyr. They invoked his protection to ensure victory in a battle. Wow. In an Old English rune poem, it's associated with the star, possibly the North Star, and never fails, serving as a guiding light. Okay, look at the star and the protection and the sage. Ooh, are you getting it? This is the 17th rune of the Elder Futhark, symbolizing the Norse god Tyr, who was associated with justice, honor, and sacrifice. Represented by an upward pointing arrow or spear, it signifies focus, determination, and the pursuit of victory through righteous means. It is deeply tied to the myth of Tyr losing his hand to the wolf Fenrir to protect the other gods. It represents personal sacrifices that uphold greater order, greater unity, law, and truth. Ooh, listen, get into this from spirit. Beyond physical battle, the energy of T-Waz also governs legal matters, integrity, and having a moral compass that keeps society balanced. Okay, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Okay, spirit. Oh, I think our music stopped. Sorry about that, guys. Let me see what comes up next in the shuffle. Okay, I'll take that. That's peaceful. Hold on, is buffering. There it goes. Okay, anyway. Where do we want to go next? We're at like 54 minutes. Where do we feel called next? You know what? I'm going to pull a Star Codes Astro card from Heather Rowan Robbins. You know I love this deck. Excellent resource if you want to learn more about astrology. Excellent resource. Okay. Let's see what we have to add to the message, Spirit. Thank you so much for the beautiful cards here already. So on point, of course. What else do we need to hear? What else do we need to see for activations, for healing, for growth and expansion in a way that serves the highest and best good? Let's see what we have, guys. We have a trine sextile symbiosis. Ooh, look at all the wings. So pretty. Okay. What do we have in the chart? Mercury. Yeah, Mercury and Venus are both trining Jupiter. Mind you, Mercury and Venus are both in Pisces. And Jupiter is in Cancer. Beautiful emotional healing. The ability to let go and release, but to understand where maybe some of the things that you were holding on to were really connected to maybe old familial patterns. Maybe they were rooted in fear. Maybe they were rooted in older versions of yourself, and you've just, I'm hearing, I've matured emotionally since then. Okay, beautiful. What a beautiful trine to jump out at me right off the chart there. Mercury and Venus in Pisces, both trining with Jupiter. Gorgeous. Okay, let's read number 52. Let's read trine sextile symbiosis. Trine and sextile planets promote collaboration by backing one another up, cheering one another on, and adding strength and value to their roles. A trine is formed by two planets, 1/3 of the way around the circle from each other, 120 degrees apart. A sextile is half of that, 60 degrees apart. Trine planets operate from the same element, fire, earth, air, or water, and speak that language. Sextile planets relate from the same polarity, but different modalities, cardinal, fixed, mutable. They operate like supportive, non-competitive best buddies. I like that description. That's perfect. Lean into what is easy. Oh, I love that when you think about the Pisces trining with Jupiter. I don't know. It makes me think about how Molly McCord was talking on a video the other day, you guys. And if you haven't checked her out, please do so. She's a wonderful resource and one of my favorite teachers. Where she was kind of talking about how people are going to re-examine, right? North Node in Pisces, South Node Virgo. Is what I'm doing with my life every day really my highest calling? You know, how much longer can I really tap into something, and what is it really worth at the end of the day if it makes my soul miserable? I'm getting something like I'm getting something like if you do a job, or if you have a soul purpose, or you pursue a calling that fills your soul, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's not to say it won't be hard or challenging, but it will be fulfilling. Something like this, right? Lean into what is easy and comfortable, and use that comfort to renew, grow, and expand. Look for people who have compatible, this is what I'm talking about with your soul families and groups, okay? They have compatible and complementary ideas or skills to yours. Work with your allies, absolutely. Gently expand your world through compatible people, collaborative skills, and through doing what you love. Look for a person who holds a missing piece of the project and bring them in. That's so beautiful. Find those who work. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was confusing myself. That was my fault. I was misreading it. Find those whose work you approve of and invest in them. Absolutely. Engage family members and friends who really understand you. This is also giving like, it's not going to be a good time to go and sit in rooms and try to tell people stuff that are exactly opposite of you. They're not on the same perspective. They haven't shifted to a different timeline. That's not going to go well in these energies. You want to go and speak and or be heard, or you want sounding boards. You don't want echo chambers. Not right now. It's not going to work. It's going to cause tension. It's going to become impulsive and frustration. It's going to get aggressive. You know what I'm saying? What's the point? I'm hearing that phrase that came up in another reading, casting your pearls to the swine. Explore what you have in common with a beloved and focus on that rather than on your differences, and build out from there. Wander in a favorite landscape and learn from what you find there. Play your favorite music, but on a new instrument. Bring your attention to where the energy flows easily and where support can be found, where enthusiasm exists. Grow organically. When life is hard, a dinner with friends where you can laugh, relax, and let down your guard can be great medicine. What a balm to talk over problems with someone who understands your worldview and to whom you don't need to explain yourself. Moments of ease can prepare us for the bigger challenges ahead. The challenge says, the path of least resistance can be both delightful and limiting. Don't get stuck in a comfortable rut. Ooh, that's very timely. The gift says, lift one another up and grow. The comfort of compatible aspects can help us build up the resources needed to do the hard work and face the tough stuff. Ooh, so maybe you find yourself cleansing and clearing some of your timelines, your connections, your emotional bonds of things they're not supportive. You can't collaborate with that energy anymore. That's it's a good time. There's a very collectively, energetically supported for you to be doing that right now. It doesn't mean you throw everything to the wind and you go super chaos mode and you bypass reality and you get impulsive and you burn everything no, that's kind of the opposite, but you get what I'm saying. I like this energy. It's very beautiful. Let's also pull a card from the Cosmic Dreamscape. I tend to use this more in one-on-one readings, but I like it. I like the bright colors and everything too. It's very like psychedelic, isn't it? Look what's on the bottom. 8th house. Accept that it's complicated. 8th house is shadow work on things that are taboo, repressed, trauma. We're going to see a lot of that continue to be exposed. So it's even more of a reason to clear out things that are not on your timeline, that don't resonate with you. We've got to be supporting each other because 8th house exposure. And this makes me think of how Black Moon Lilith spent all that time in Scorpio. Talk about rooting up the swamp, right? And now Black Moon Lilith is in Sagittarius. So this is going to get lit up. It's going to get lit up. Okay, let's see what we have. Let's see what we have from Cosmic Dreamscape, okay? We have Leo, confidence is key. Okay, leaning into the same energy. I feel like Leo in a high vibration in a healthy way is great at seeing other people in a certain way and making them shine. You know, it's like pushing you up onto the stage and saying, you got this. You know what I mean? It does kind of lean into that same energy, especially with symbiosis. This also makes me think about how whenever we work with a lot of energy in the collective, Aquarius energy this year, for example, the sister, or polarity, the opposite, but also it's two sides of the same coin. That opposite will be Leo. And then in the summer, it makes me think of how we will expand into having Jupiter in Leo. And then we will also, have our south node in Leo. So it's interesting to see Leo come up here. Confidence is key. Yes, it is. But it has to be rooted in a healthy... Sometimes it's like, what's the intention behind your confidence? Okay. You know what I'm saying? Or what are you being confident about? Is it in alignment? Is it authentic to you? I feel like sometimes somebody can be super confident about something, but that doesn't mean it's a good thing for them. You know what I'm saying? And again, I just can't help but say, with it coming out with this symbiosis card, it is like being with people who lift you up. You know what I mean? Look in the mirror. Now give yourself at least 10 juicy, extravagant, ego-boosting compliments, because we're not ego haters over here. Aries energy, opening of timelines, higher vibrational exaltation of I am that I am. I'm not talking about you go manic with it, but you do need to know who you are. You know, we did agree to incarnate into a human experience, and you have to embody that. You know what I mean? Be confident in it. Now blow your bad self a kiss and slay the day like the star you are. I like how the star is popping out in little ways in all these cards too. That's Aquarius energy winking at us. As the regal and powerful sign of Leo well knows, developing self-love and confidence is your birthright. I love this because we were just talking about Mercury in Pisces, Venus in Pisces, loving yourself, knowing your worth, alignment of the soul, also trining, hello, with Jupiter in Cancer. You know, I have been through a lot, but I feel good about my emotional maturity, and I want to embody who I am. I want to be in love with who I am. It's kind of giving, right? In a healthy way. Sorry, okay. As the regal and powerful sign of Leo well knows, developing self-love and confidence is your birthright. And if it doesn't come naturally, then fake it till you make it. I feel that. The only thing standing between you and your goals right now is how much you believe in yourself. Give the people what they want and the haters what they deserve. Okay, I'm not mad at it. By being your brightest, bestest, most beautiful self and having faith in your ability to shine. Oh, that's so nice. I love that. Okay, let's close the message. I know the messages have been longer, but you know I'm going to channel. Oop. Okay, well that card's all about just trying to fall out of the deck. We are going to pull an angel number oracle here from the Pulp Girls. I love this deck. This one was just desperately trying to fall onto the table. It says, oh look, it's kind of color coded. Look at that. 666, reflect. I'm getting the triplicity of 9 always returns to itself. We talked about that a lot last year. You know, 666 is going to give you 18, which comes to 9, and then the 3, the 6, the 9, right? Okay. All of the 9s we always talk about in the tarot deck are pause and reflect cards. Okay, nice. I like that. Let's read it. It says, lots of folks get a bit worried when they see this number, but it's actually a message of reflection. Your angels are asking you to take a step back and hit the pause button. Absolutely. Absolutely. We were just talking about in the astrology how we're going to open all of this up and it's going to go, wow. And then we're going to go back into Mercury retrograde. So it's like a simmer. You know, that's how alchemy works. That's how building something that's long-term sustainable and really rewarding and legacy building, it works slowly, right? Your angels are asking you to take a step back and hit the pause button. With that greater distance, examine your current circumstances. Are you heading in a direction that speaks to your truth? Do your relationships lift you up? There's the relationship connection again. Does your job fulfill you, or have you instead been putting your energy into things that simply don't work for you any longer? Boom, this is such a message for this conjunction. This is your sign, hello. This is your sign to be honest with yourself and make the changes that speak to your higher self. Spirit is showing me maybe you see 333, 666, 999. Maybe you're seeing angel numbers. This could be confirmation and synchronicity that this is speaking to you right now. Take time to reflect on your circumstances, putting your energy into necessary changes. Honesty and stripping away any illusions. A signal to pay attention to your needs. The reversed or cautioned energy says, channeling your energy into unfulfilling activities, feeling utterly disillusioned and powerless, filling your time with fake friends and negativity, or hitting a dead end. The affirmation says, I am aligned, divine, and my life is right on time. I love that, okay? Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a great weekend, okay? Love yourself. Extra big out there. Stay grounded and take good care until we speak again, all right? See you later. Bye.